We kind of talked about, where we sit in the East, but looking at the numbers, so start off the season 12-12. Actually, at the same point, if you look at what Boston was at that point, Boston was 21-5, but we were 12-12, and now we're only a few games back from them. But since December 9th, Sixers are 33-10, also 14-5 on the road since Christmas, and won 5 straight. The hottest team in the league, longest winning streak in the league right now. So my question to you guys is, because I've seen Kendrick Perkins make the point on ESPN, talk about how the Sixers right now, if you can make the argument the Sixers are the best team in the league right now. And I want to ask you guys, where do you guys stand on that? Do you guys agree that we are the best team in the league right now as far as regular season goes?
No. I mean, I don't know how you can make that argument. I mean, I think you can make the argument that we're just as good as the top teams in the league. We're one of the top teams in the league, but I don't know how you can say a team that's been the top from day one to now, and they're ahead of you, and they've beaten you consistently for you to even say we're better than them. I don't know how you can say that. Maybe we're playing better right now, but I'm not even talking about Milwaukee. I'm talking about Boston.
But they're struggling right now, no?
Yeah, they're struggling right now, but we had struggles too. Like that's the course of a season. But we're talking about a season. We're not talking about the best team in the second week in March. Is that what we're talking about? Who's the best team in the second week of March? Or are we talking about the month of March? Or are we talking about the whole year? Because if you're talking about the whole year, you got to put everything in this equation.
I'd say more recent. So yeah, I'd say like right today.
Well, I mean, more recent. Milwaukee's whatever and 2.
We just beat them.
They're still whatever and 2. The last 10 games, they have a better record than us.
Yeah, they. Go ahead.
I just don't see how you can say we're the best. I mean, they lost to us at home. They lost at Golden State, who's terrific on the road at home. Yeah. We beat them. We also lost at home, and we also lost to Miami at home.
Yeah.
So we lost in Dallas.
Yeah.
So
it was a bad loss.
So Dallas hasn't beat anybody but us.
What's that?
Dallas hadn't beat anyone except us.
Yeah.
A good win for them.
It was a good win. They couldn't miss that game, but yeah.
So that's, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think I'm trying to be a little more realistic with it.
Sure.
I think we are. What I think we've done is close the gap. I don't think we've taken over that because they've been there from day one, and they stayed up there. Milwaukee don't even have their second best player really playing. I do think that right now we're playing better than Boston. We're performing better. But if I'm looking at this whole season, and that's how I look at it, I can't say that, we'll take them out because we still have to catch them and pass them to get home court in the playoffs and still beat them 4 times if we meet them in the second round.
I just think we're a completely different team than we were at the beginning of the season, though, whereas those other teams really aren't. They've been consistently better than us throughout the season, but if the season started post-December 9th, I mean, I think it'd be we wouldn't be saying this right now, and so now we're judging us based on what we did in November.
We're judging them, but we're judging them based on what they did last month. It's the same thing.
And November,
Boston based on what they did last month.
But they both had good records in up to December 9th, right?
I'm just saying, we talking about, and I was just saying, I think you confirmed what I said. I think we're closing the gap. But what I'm saying is, we're saying Boston isn't playing great or they're not playing this and that, but they still got a game or 2 lead on us.
Yeah. Same amount.
They had to be doing something. They had to be doing something to not be playing well, lose to Houston last night, and still lead us.
They started out better.
So they had, at some point, they got to be better than if they have a better record, and they beat us every single time we played them.
I put a little more stock in where you trend, though. Right? College basketball, same thing, right? Like if you have a team that struggled at the beginning of the season, now they're playing their best basketball.
College basketball, you don't have to beat a team 4 times. I think the better teams always win that, not the trending teams. If you played those college basketball, they played four wins, you'll have a lot. The better teams will win the majority of the time. You won't have as many of those upsets.
I'm talking about how they get like seeded at the end of the season, though. They do factor in like where you're trending, right? A bit.
Yeah, I mean, that'll make it right, though. They do it, but that'll make it, to me, right.
That's true.
You got to watch all the games. I mean, if you're just looking at a team and say, hey, they playing great right now, but they lost to who knows who in November, December, that got to matter too.
Yeah, no, it does.
I just think, to me, that's no different than anything else. It follows whatever you want your agenda to be. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're playing well, this and that. But you don't want to look at those losses when they had those bad losses early in the year. But you'll use it against another team that had a bad loss earlier in the year or later in the year. Like to me, that's just like all the rest of the voting. It's agenda driven based on whatever initiative you want to put out there.
Yeah. I look at us now and how close we are. We're tied with the Celtics in the loss column. We were a 500 team the first month of the season. Mm-hmm. It just shows you how like on point we've been for 3 months now. We're only one of 4 teams in the NBA that rank top 10 in offensive defense efficiency and rating. Second best win percentage.
Any of those other top teams in that statistic?
Celtics are the only team at top 5 in both. So that's
yes, correct.
They're in top 5 in both.
Yeah.
Top 5 in both.
Wow.
We're top 10 in both.
Any other top team in the top 10?
Us.
What is Milwaukee? I know
Celtics,
they probably won offense.
I think it's Golden State
in both.
And I believe so. And then,
but they're not one of the. But they're not one of the top records.
Cleveland, the other team. I believe
Cleveland. Okay.
Yeah. We have the second best win percentage since January 1st. Number 1, obviously.
Behind who?
Milwaukee, but we just beat them, right? So one of their
Miami just beat the Mavericks just beat us too. So they claiming to be one of the best teams.
If they had 16 straight and beat us, then yeah, they could claim to be one of the best teams in the league, right? I think they have a fair shot at that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, but you can't say a team won 16 straight and lost 2 games since January, whatever, and then we said, well, since we beat them, we better. Like then Boston's going to say we beat y'all 3 times.
Hold on, no
matter what.
I'm not just. There's a difference between being like a 10-5 team and then beating the best team and saying, "Oh, we beat them. We're good." We're 2% lower in the win percentage, so we're like there. Plus, we beat them. I think that does matter when you're that.
Okay, and we're like there with Boston, and they beat us 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm the one that said I'm scared of Boston. You're not worried about.
No, Boston. I'm just saying, like the fact that we saying we beat somebody, like that sounds like almost like high schoolish. Like we beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean you beat them? Like
2-1 over Milwaukee.
2-1 against
2-1. It's true. Milwaukee. Our only loss against Milwaukee was the first week of the season. I mean, we were a different team back then. We just were. Since we've looked more like who we are,
so is not Milwaukee not a different team?
Not as different as we are. They weren't 500 the first month.
Was there a time we were ahead of Milwaukee?
I don't think so. I think wire to wire they've been ahead of us. No, I don't think so, because you said when we were struggling 12-12, we were like battling it for like 7 seed, like 6 seed.
That's true. That's true.
We were definitely never ahead of them.
No, then no.
Are you sure?
I can't. Based on the 12-12 story, I can't imagine we were ever behind them. I think it's wire to wire they've been ahead of them.
I'm just asking because I know that Milwaukee was. I know it was some other teams up there with Boston. It wasn't us. And it wasn't Milwaukee.
It wasn't us, yeah.
Maybe it was Cleveland.
Milwaukee started out the year winning like 10 in a row. So
Okay.
It would be really hard for us to pass them at any point.
Yeah.
They had one stretch where they lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe around then.
No.
Huh?
Nah, no way.
I mean, Milwaukee had to have maintained a good record to stay within Boston the entire time through Boston's hot streak.
I mean, they caught Boston during this winning streak.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Hold on. So 20, their worst record, I think, at any given point was they were 22-12.
And we were 12-12.
It's not the same. That's 32 games in 24, man.
But we won like 8 in a row, remember?
Oh, yeah.
We were 22-14, but then we were 27-16. They were also 27-16. So we were tied with them.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. There was a time when our records were similar. I remember that.
We were tied with them at 27-16. They were 27-16, but then they won like 7 in a row, and they won like 10 out of 11. From there on out, they just like they.
That's my point. So after that December run, after that month of November, when we had started off bad, we were still tied with those guys. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I knew that we were close because I remember looking at the standings. And we might have even had like the tiebreaker or something that gave us the lead, whatever the tiebreaker was.
But like we said earlier, the moment they won that 16, it was them and Boston.
So that's what I'm saying. So that proves my point. Then how can we say we better than that team just because we beat them? Basically, they started out the same place we started out.
We're very similar.
It was 0-0 from that point. It's basically the same place.
And we've both been pretty banged up this year, both of us.
But from that point on, we were pretty much the same as far as injuries. Just they had Middleton, who's not playing.
They've had Middleton. We've had different guys in and out.
Yes. I mean, Middleton is, he's not, his minutes aren't there. He's playing, but his minutes aren't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though he was good against Sacramento.
He was really good. Yeah, I was noticing that last night.
He was good against Sacramento.
But I was going to say, too, so the team above us since January 1st, Milwaukee, we beat them. Team right below us, Denver, we also recently beat them. So when you're at the top and you're beating the other top teams, that kind of goes.
You belong. You belong.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying we belong. I'm just saying I think we just closed the gap. I don't think we've taken over to be like, hey, we're the best team in the league.
Probably not the clear cut.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't agree with that.
We're not the clear cut, team to beat. No. I don't think so. I think
conversation to be had.
I think we are. Yeah, I think we are playing probably the best ball in the league right now. Is a better way to put it.
I can see that. Like we're playing the best right now, but I just wouldn't put us at the best team. At the end of the day, more people have more trust in those two teams ahead of us because of what they've done in the postseason. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and I love that we're having fun while doing it. You watch them; they're having a good time out there. That's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say? I know you see you wouldn't want to judge a team just based on their first half of the season or the end of the season, but going into the playoffs, are you kind of looking? Are you, as a player, looking at the teams that are kind of streaking into the playoffs, like the ones who are the teams who aren't limping into the postseason, the teams who aren't struggling? Let's say if Boston does continue this, right, and let's say the playoffs start next week, would that be kind of a red flag?
In some ways, it could be, but I think at the end of the day, if they stay in that same position and they got home court, I mean, they're going to lean more on the experience of the playoff experience than the season experience. They'll lean heavily on that, knowing that, hey, we just got to the finals.
Yeah.
With basically the same team. So I think it does matter, you want to carry some kind of momentum into the playoffs, but it is a new season technically. So you can kind of move on from that and kind of start a new path. I believe in that also.
Yeah.
We've seen Golden State do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like all of a sudden they're a different team in the playoffs. You know, they're a championship team, but I'm just saying they just proved that last season where it's just like, man, where was this team all year long? You kind of know they have it in them, and then they show you. They remind you, rather.
Look at Miami. They were fighting on the sidelines toward the end of last year, and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
And almost won.
Yeah.
So
if only Embiid didn't get his face broken.
Yeah.
But
I think we had more problems than that, but yeah, that did not help.
Didn't help, no. But yeah,
those are games we were getting blown out and we're coming back. So you like go down against Miami again in the playoffs. I'm worried.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's the thing. That's where we're at. As good as we're playing, as good as we are, as talented our players are, it's still sort of that, man, we don't even know if y'all can beat Miami in the playoffs. It's still some of that there. And that's what I'm saying. That's going to be there until we prove otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your Sixers team's beating Indiana, finally getting over the Indiana hump.
Yeah, I mean, until we beat them, they sort of like, you can't beat them.
Yeah, and I feel like Indiana going into that series against you guys were like pretty confident, even though
they let us know. Now when they won game one, like it was no, shyness in how they felt about it. So you had to go out and do it.
Yep.
Yeah, and then one thing, and it contrasts from the first question we talked about. In years past, going down 20, that was pretty much it. I didn't think there was any hope. This team is showing kind of a resilience that we didn't show in years past. That we are coming back, which is different from years past.
Totally.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, we are. But some of that is, you have the talent to do it, and you have the understanding and the it takes some scoring, but it also takes some stops for that to happen.